Good morning. My name is Tracy Lee, and I'm the Family Engagement Specialist for Special Education and Student Services at the Virginia Department of Education. This is our fourth session, recorded session of critical decision points for families of children with disabilities. Those of you who have watched the first three, you probably know by now that I'm not sure when you're stumbling across this recording, but as we are recording it, we are in the midst of the 2020 pandemic situation. Most of us are at home. I am at home right now as well. My family is here, so I'm in my home office. You might see people or hear people as they're running past. Hopefully it will go off without a hitch, but just in case, understand I am at home. I'm not at my office. We had many critical decision points trainings scheduled prior to the pandemic that got canceled. And we do want to get all of those in-person trainings rescheduled. But in the meantime, we wanted parents to have access to some of this information. And so I took the critical decision points training and divided it up into 5 sessions. And today, this is recording for number 4. We're going to be talking about self-determination today. This training was created because the Virginia Board for People with Disabilities, that's another state agency in Virginia, they were hearing from the families that they work with and from people with disabilities that they work with that there was information about their education that they wish they had had earlier than when they actually had it. The Virginia board had the funds and the resources, so they came to VDOE because we had the expertise, and they provided us with a grant in order to create critical decision points for families of children with disabilities, and that is this guide right here. If you want one of these guides, you can get one of them for free. Once we are able to get back into our offices, at the end of this training, you'll see my email address and my phone number. You can email me or call me now, and I will maintain a list of people who want these. And once we're able to get back into our offices and do mailings again, we can get one in the mail to you. In the meantime, however, at the end of this presentation, you'll see a link. And if you go to that link, that will take you to our website where you can receive this in an accessible format. So you can download it yourself, or you can look at it online while you are waiting for this to come back. Also, there is a link there to 5 animated web-based training modules that you can access as well. So I'll make sure that we pause on that slide when we get to the end so that you can take a screenshot of it and have that link. Okay, so before we get started, it's important to note that in the world of special education, information changes rapidly. As of today, all of the information that I'm going to be giving you is current, but if you stumble upon this recording, a year from now, 2 years from now, it's possible that the information will have changed. So just understand that your best source for the most up-to-date and accurate information is the Virginia Department of Education website, which you see there. It's doe.virginia.gov. All of the information there will always be up to date for you. Okay, so today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things to talk about. It's called self-determination. So how, as a parent, do you promote your child's independence and self-determination? First of all, we have to talk about what is self-determination. Self-determination refers to a combination of skills, knowledge, and beliefs that enable a person to engage in goal-directed, self-regulated, autonomous behavior. An understanding of one's strengths and limitations, together with a belief of oneself as capable and effective, are essential to self-determination. When acting on the basis of these skills and attitudes, individuals have a greater ability to take control of their lives and assume the role of successful adults in our society. So what does that mean? That means that each of us, regardless of our disability, our level of disability, we each have the ability to be able to make decisions regarding our own lives. And a lot of times we have to make decisions with the assistance of other people, but we should have a voice in those decisions. If I am an adult with a significant disability and I have somebody who helps take care of me on a daily basis, and that person and I just do not get along, I just plain don't like that guy, I should be able to have the skills and to have the knowledge and to have an understanding of myself to the point where I can say, in whatever capacity that I'm able to, I would like to hire somebody else for this position. This is a person who is central to my life. I really don't like this guy. I really want to hire somebody else. I, as a self-determined person, should be able to have a voice in those kinds of decisions. So how can you help your child to become self-determined? For one thing, eventually all students with IEPs are expected to become IEP team members. Allow your child to become part of this process even when he or she is very young. Eventually, your kids are going to be informed by the school that IEP team meetings are happening and that they are invited to those meetings. You as the parent get to determine whether or not your child comes to the meeting up to their 18th birthday. We at the VDOE think it's important to have your kids come to the IEP meetings when they're really, really tiny if possible. And they don't have to stay the whole time. If you want to just bring them into the room for a minute and introduce them to everybody or allow them to introduce themselves, they can say something as simple as, "Hi, my name is Mark, and this is what I'm good at, and this is what I'm not good at, and this is what I like, and this is what I don't like." And then they can leave. They can say, "See you later," and go back to their classrooms. It's really, really important that kids, when they are very young or as young as you think is appropriate, begin the process of being part of that team. Some kids, some really young kids, are able to come to the meeting and stay for the whole thing. Some kids create PowerPoints for themselves, about themselves, and they do a little presentation at the beginning of the meeting for everybody in the room about themselves, and that's wonderful. If for some reason you feel that it's not appropriate for your child to be at the meeting, you can bring them in, like I said, bring them in at the beginning, introduce them, have them leave, or you can even get a picture of your child and frame it and put that framed picture on the table so that everybody can see it. I think it's really important for the team to be able to put a face with all of this data. In person is best, but if they can't be there in person, maybe they can be there in the form of a picture. You want to work with your child so that he becomes comfortable discussing his strengths, interests, preferences, and needs with the team. The participation will help him to gain confidence as well as the understanding that he has a right to be heard. Self-determination is not something that magically happens when we hit adulthood. We are 18 years old and now we are self-determined. That's not how it works. We have to work with our children from the time that they are really young. We can allow them to make choices for themselves. For example, we can show them 2 or 3 outfits in the morning when they're 4 years old and say, "Which one would you like to wear today?" What you don't want to do with a child that age is take them to their closet and say, "Pick something out," because that choice can be overwhelming to a small child. But we can give them choices. Would you like to have peanut butter and jelly, or would you like to have chicken nuggets for lunch? Give them choices and let them determine, to the degree that they're able, how they want to move forward with the tiny decisions in their lives, so that when it comes time for them to make the big decisions, they've had a lot of practice with that. A tool that can help you is the I'm Determined website, which is right here, www.imdetermined.org. On that website, you will find tools that can help kids to journey along the path of self-determination. There are one-pagers, there's a document on goal setting and attainment, and there's a good day plan. These are all excellent tools. I really like the good day plan myself, and I think the good day plan is something that even adults can access and find valuable. The good day plan is when you sit down and you think to yourself, what does a good day look like for me? So maybe for you, a good day would start with coffee every day. I know that's what my good day starts with. So you write that down on the paper. What does a good day look like for you? And then as you move along your life and you move along your days, you can try to create your days in such a way that as many of your good day components are in your day as possible. And it really helps kids to understand that they really do have a large role in what their days and their lives look like. These are all great tools, and I definitely recommend that you and your child get on imdetermined.org and check them out. Okay, so how do we discuss disability with our child, including the transfer of rights at age 18? We want our kids to know that they have a disability because it helps them to explain to people what their issues and their strengths and their challenges are. So let's think for a moment. You might have a child who's in first grade, and maybe your child has autism, and maybe your child exhibits a specific behavior, and that comes along as a result of the autism. So they're on the playground and another child comes up to them, another 6-year-old, and says, "Hey, why do you do that thing? You know, why do you maybe flap your hands like this?" Well, the child whose parents have actually discussed the disability with them has words for this. They might be able to say, well, I do that because I have autism, and my autism sometimes causes me to do this. Generally, what's going to happen is the other 6-year-old is going to go, okay, cool, let's go play. And then they go play. For the child who doesn't understand that they have autism, they don't understand why they do some of the things that they do, that same question can cause great insecurity. So the other child could say, why do you do that thing? Why do you flap your hands, or whatever it is? And your child might go, I don't know, and feel really uncomfortable and really nervous about the whole interaction. And sometimes that's when problems can start for kids. So it's really important for us to be as open as we can with our kids about their disabilities. We want them to understand that having a disability is not shameful or embarrassing. Okay, all of us have things we're good at. All of us have things that we struggle with. The disability, it's just like eye color. My eyes are blue, I have autism. It's part of what you are, it's not all of who you are. Okay, it's just a part of it. You want to name the disability. So maybe your child, again, is a person with autism. You want to help her to understand that it's just part of who she is. Maybe in addition to being a person with autism, she's a sister and a friend and a soccer player and a dancer. It's just part of the whole package. We want to provide information to our kids. Knowledge is power. Respond to her questions in age-appropriate ways, and it might be helpful to help her come up with answers that others may have about her disability. So let's go back to the example we just talked about. If there's a specific behavior that your child engages in that's a result of their disability, have practice conversations. When somebody comes up to them and says, hey, why do you do this? Or, hey, why do you have to use this specific tool? Or, hey, why do you look this way? Whatever these questions are, help your child role play through these conversations so that they have answers ready for these questions, so that they can move about and they can deal with the other people in their lives as effectively and as completely as possible. Okay, information regarding the transfer of rights. This is really, really important information for all parents to have, regardless of the age of your child. At age 18, education rights transfer to your child. It will be important to begin discussing this well before his or her 18th birthday. At age 18, all educational decision-making rights will transfer to your child. It's the same thing with decisions related to medical care. All decision-making rights transfer to your child automatically at age 18. I think some parents make the assumption, the incorrect assumption, well, my child has a very severe cognitive impairment. And so obviously nobody is going to automatically transfer rights to my child at age 18. That is actually not true. You have to take steps prior to your child's 18th birthday in order for your child not to have those rights transferred to them. Okay, so it's automatic at age 18, the educational rights transfer to your child. The IEP team must include a statement in your child's IEP at least 1 year before he turns 18 that you and your child have been advised that the rights will transfer. If your child will not be able to handle this automatic transfer, you will need to take steps to continue to be involved. So at age 18, your child now is going to start getting the advance notice of an invitation to the IEP meetings. You will only be receiving those if your child consents to that, okay? So at age 18, unless you have taken steps to make sure that this doesn't happen, your child is 100% in control. They are 100% driving the train as far as medical decisions, educational decisions, all decisions. So if you don't think that your child can handle this, you need to start thinking about that early. Information regarding transfer of rights is at this link below. There's an entire guide on our website that explains this to you and explains how you can go about having those rights taken away from your child and given to yourself. And it doesn't have to be a complete and total taking their rights away from them. You know, there are all sorts of different degrees of this. So you could maybe, it might be that you and your child both feel that he wants you to help him make these educational decisions now, but you don't feel like you need to take away have these rights taken away from your child forever. You can have your child sign a power of attorney. So a power of attorney would be drawn up that says, hey, I want my parents to be able to make educational decisions for me until and unless I have revoked this power of attorney. So they sign the power of attorney. You are able to make educational decisions, medical decisions, whatever that power of attorney lays out for them. But at any time, your child can revoke that power of attorney. So essentially, they still control their destiny. They still have all of the power, but they are allowing you to make decisions for them for the time being. That might be a way to go. It is a fairly long, lengthy process to have your child's rights their decision-making capabilities taken away from them. And that's as it should be, because we don't want to just willy-nilly take the decision-making rights away from grown adults. So it's a long process, it's an involved process, and it's not something that you are going to be able to do in just a couple months before your child's 18th birthday. So I would say, even if your child is really, really small right now, you certainly don't have to make decisions right now, but it certainly might be worthwhile to do some research to determine what you will need to do in the event that that actually occurs for you and your family. Okay, so when do you want to consider this? As soon as your child is found eligible for special education services, I would begin thinking about what you will do if and when you come to the point where you feel like your child will not be able to make decisions at age 18. Questions to ask the school. How can I begin explaining my child's disability and its potential impacts on her? Your school and your IEP team might be able to provide you with some advice and some language, some age-appropriate language for you to use with your child when discussing his or her disability. How can my child participate in the development of her IEP to the maximum extent? Can my child effectively exercise her right to make educational decisions when she turns 18? And whom should I consult for advice in this area if I feel that I still need to be involved in educational decision-making on behalf of my adult child? I'm going to go back here for just a second if you want to be able to take a screenshot of that, because that guide goes into this in quite a bit of detail, and I think it could help you quite a bit. And if we get to the end of this training and you haven't been able to get that link, just get in touch with me and I will send it to you. Okay. Will I be able to attend IEP meetings after my child's 18th birthday? And the answer to that again is, if your child retains all decision-making authority at age 18, if you have not taken steps to ensure that that doesn't happen, then that will be up to your child. Will I be able to assist my child in making informed decisions or serve as my child's advocate after her 18th birthday? Again, that would be up to your child. All right, long-term goals. We want to keep long-term goals in mind early in the child's educational career. So things to think about. Begin setting long-term goals for your child when she's young. And remember, it's okay to dream big. We talked a little bit in one of the other sessions, and we're going to talk more in session 5 about diploma options and which diploma options can get you to certain long-term goals. So you want to begin thinking when your child's really small, what is it maybe that he or she might want to do when they grow up, and what kind of a diploma might they need in order to help them get there? And then you want to make sure you stay on a path toward that diploma until or unless you decide that it's not appropriate. Recording number 5, which we're going to record right after this, and you'll be able to find on our website, will cover this in more detail. You'll be doing most long-term goal setting for your child when she's very young with her input. As she gets older, however, she will begin to take over her own goal setting. It is perfectly normal when you're talking to your 5-year-old child about what they want to be when they grow up, that they might say things like, I want to be a superhero, or I want to be a princess. That's perfectly normal and perfectly okay. As they get older, however, you're going to start really trying to determine and help them determine what it is that they like. What are their strengths? What are their interests? You want to think about things like diploma options, college, apprenticeships, post-secondary job training programs. And again, we're going to talk about all of that in session 5. You want to keep up to date on programs that are available through agencies such as DARS, which is the Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services, and the Wilson Workforce and Rehabilitation Center. And you want to help your child plan for a career, not just a job. So what does that mean? Working as somebody who bags groceries in a grocery store, that could be a career. The difference between a career and a job is a career means that you are doing something that you enjoy and that you feel like you're good at, and you're making money doing it. That's a career. A job is something that we go to just because we have to and we need some money. Okay, we might not like it. We might not feel like we're particularly good at it. That's a job. But like I said, if your child loves bagging groceries. They love going to the grocery store every day. They love talking to the people. They love putting the stuff in bags. They love walking the groceries to the car with the customers. They feel like they're good at it and they really enjoy it and they make money doing it. That's a career. But what we want for all of our kids, regardless of disability, we want them to have a career that they feel is valuable to them. They're good at it, they enjoy it, and they make money doing it. That's what we need to be thinking about with our kids. So if my kid, for example, loves animals, it might not be that he or she could potentially go to vet school. Maybe that's not something that he or she would be able to get through, but maybe they could work somewhere doing pet grooming, helping with that. Maybe they could work at a zoo. Maybe they could work at a vet's office in another capacity. But we need to look at the things that our kids are good at and the things that they're interested in and try to help them to find future employment and to build a career around those things. It's not enough for us, and it's not enough for our kids just to get out of the house and go somewhere and do something that we don't particularly like and make money. Okay, we all have to do that somewhere along the way, but our goals, I think, for our kids and for ourselves need to be to do something we like, to do something we're good at, and to make money doing it. So that's the difference between a career and a job. Okay, so that's self-determination, and we could talk about this all day, but for now, that's the information on self-determination. Again, on our website, that is the link where you go to get this document in an accessible format, and you can also get the 5 animated web-based training modules there as well, so you can take a screenshot of that if you'd like. And then if you have any questions regarding this content or anything else with regards to special education, here is my contact information. There's my email address. There's my phone number. I'm not currently in my office, but I'm checking my voicemail messages several times a day. I check my email pretty much constantly. So if you have a question, please get in touch with me. I might not always be able to answer it, but I can generally get you to a person who can answer it. So again, there's my contact information. This is the work group of the people at the VDOE who were responsible for the creation of this document. We had help from many other people along the way, but this is the core group of people who created this. All of their contact information is on our VDOE website as well, and I'm sure that they would also be willing and able to answer your questions. So thank you for joining us today, and I hope you have a great day.